Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Hoyt, Hoyman Tree Saws, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, RTP Outdoors, Spot Hog Releases, Wasp Archery, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
Day 10, October 24th. For this evening's hunt, I'm going into an area that I haven't hunted very much in my whole life, really. I mean, it's a part of the farm that just have not hunted. Gosh, I used to let my friend Mike Sawyer hunt this quite a bit back in the day. And he had some great success back here, but I always had spots closer to the house that I focused in on. So I don't have a real good feel for how the deer move back here, but we are in the neighborhood of 2 bucks that I found on my trail cameras that are mature deer. One of them is a 10-pointer, and I know that deer from last year. We have trail camera pictures of him last year. He's got the scars on his face. It's the same deer, and he hasn't gotten any bigger. And I thought he was probably almost fully mature last year anyway. The other one's an 8 or 9-pointer. I guess he'd be 9 technically, short little G4 on the one side. He looks like a fully mature deer too. I don't know anything about that deer, but he's a pretty cool looking buck. I mean, he's got a nice big frame and definitely would be a good trophy. Either one of them would be good trophies. They're mature bucks, and that's what I'm looking for. The southeast wind should play pretty well on the back end of this big, I guess it's an unpicked soybean field that we're going into. And the drought got us pretty good, so I don't think the combines are going to get to this field this year. It's just not enough here to make it worthwhile, but there's plenty of food here for the deer. So my hope is that they're coming up out of these bottoms. There's a big bottom field down in there that's also standing beans. Then there's bedding areas in between those, and then the spot where we're going to be hunting this evening. So I'm hoping that they'll work their way up out of those bedding areas into this upper bean field. And it's the more conservative approach. There's plenty of ways that I can hunt this part of the farm, but this is the safest for a starting point. Should be a good observation hunt, and does give us a chance with some nice trails coming out near where we're going to put the tree stand up for some action this evening. So I got a lot of work ahead of me. I drove in and dropped the stands off and drove back out again. So I'm just going to walk in and put those up, and then we'll be hunting. Fawn's only 66. She looks like she's about 80. seeing that deer. I've been seeing that deer on the camera down there all fall. Just a nice solid, I don't know, 3 or 4 year old. Nothing too special. Yeah, it's just a 3-year-old. Right there's the shot. Right there. 27 yards. Down to about the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. And I just called in a nice 3-year-old buck. In fact, I think he's still behind me, just working his way down through that long grass. Excuse me. I could see his rack going across the bean field, and I thought maybe it was one of these 2 deer that we were in here hunting. So I called to him, and he came on a beeline 25 yards away. Would have been perfect if he would have been one of those 2. So real quick tip on calling. I'm a big fan of the grunt call. And I've called in a ton of deer using the grunt call, but I think the most important thing is to have one that's loud. Because most of the time when the deer don't react to the grunt call, it's not because they're not interested in it, it's because they didn't hear it. So I have a really loud grunt call, and I blow it loud. And as soon as I see the deer stop, then I stop calling. Because usually that's enough just to get their interest. Don't give them too much, and then they'll come looking. Like I said, we got a few more minutes left, and then we're going to slip out of here. I was thinking about coming back here again tomorrow night, but I don't like this stand setup. We're too exposed on the edge of this field. It's a cool spot for filming, but we stick out like sore thumbs up in this little locust tree. The tree that I wanted to get into was way too overgrown. There's no way that we could have pulled it off without we'd had to have that Heumann electric pole saw and at least 45 minutes of cutting to clean that thing out enough to be able to hunt and film out of it. So I'll either do that tomorrow during the middle of the day, or find a different spot back in here, or if I can come up with some strategy for hunting that big 7, we might go back to that deer. I do like the way that this 3-year-old was acting, though. He was just out cruising around, checking things out. Pretty typical of what you see this time of the year, so there's no reason why on a cool evening that a 5 or 6-year-old buck wouldn't be doing the same thing. So it's time to start getting a little bit more serious. The best days are right in front of us now, so we need to put together a plan and lock in on what we're going to be doing here. Check back again tomorrow. We're going to hunt tomorrow, probably Friday also. Then I've got some family obligations over the weekend, but hopefully we can get out Thursday and Friday evening.